Thanks a lot. Hi, everyone. Really nice to see you here. So let's talk uh, so about our focus and about full stack AI. We have five AI-native startups that can be classified as full stack AI startups in our portfolio. Uh, our focus right now is AI-enabled service businesses from health tech, education, future work, and some legacy industries like legal accounting, finance, or consulting. But let's start from a brief overview. So, from the positive perspective, what we see here and what all the investors and researchers see that AI technologies are eating the world of labor, and in distant perspective, like 10 years plus, the labor of AI and the real human could be indistinguishable. That's why that if you're as an investor or as a founder, if you're building the company in this field, you are moving in the right direction. Also, yeah, so we see that the AI implementation level is really high. So the tech companies or finance companies, the level of AI adoption is more than 50%. And also we see the retention that companies are prolonging their contracts from 2024 to 2025, and the budgets spent are increasing. Also, we see that the VCs really like the AI native startups or companies that are related to to artificial intelligence. You see that almost half of all their investments in money are going to the AI companies. And first wave was connected with agentic AI. So agents for X for healthcare, for software engineering, for cybersecurity, whatever, raising really large checks at the moment right now. But also at the same time, we see that there are way too many agentic startups. More than thousands of companies exist right now that are building, comparing to the number of all seed stage companies that are one third of startups are related themselves to exactly AI agents. And so there are so huge amount of agentic AI startups that we can say that we are looking at the hype right now. So this is the Gartner hype cycle. According to their research, we see that AI agentic software companies right now are at the peak, and in 5 years, they might be meet the trough of disillusionment. So that's why building a startup focused on AI agents right now, or investing in this, startups may be much more disappointing than any other decisions. Also, now we see the early signs of a bubble. Despite the number of AI companies supported by investors, if you calculate the number of deals, 60% of them are AI related. But at the same time, companies don't share this sentiment because 95% of enterprise organizations really feel hard to evaluate if they have measurable gains from the adoption of AI tools. So, and also, based on that, we see that buyer fatigue with AI-based tools. Maybe their AI bubble is near, maybe in 2026 or 2027. So, from our perspective, we found a solution, strategical solution for the startups that are being created right now, or for the investors who are thinking what sphere, what vertical, or what niche to choose to invest right now, is full stack AI companies. Well, this is a fundamental different approach when startups is building the software, but not selling it, but they're focused on selling the services itself. For example, the difference between two companies. Harvey AI is traditional AI startup, actually wrapper over ChatGPT and other LLMs. And startup Crosby, and Harry AI, they're selling seats, working at SaaS models. Crosby AI is the agentic law firm. They are focused on selling the outcomes, the service itself. Uh, so that's the difference. And our perspective is that it's better to focus on the second one. Because we see the exciting opportunities here. First, as a full stack AI startup, you're capturing the whole value chain. The using of modern models or building the models by yourself could increase the margins up to 70, 80%. And also, as soon as you're capturing all the data that you're getting from the customers, you can improve your own models or improve your own product constantly. The most potential, as we see, lies in slow-moving industries like legal, healthcare, travel, DevOps. Thanks to our head of scouting, we approximately calculated the amount of money that can be extracted out of this market, out of these opportunities, and also the right examples of companies that are working in each of this field. The good news is that the industry of full stack AI companies is just started. There is no unicorns still, so your startup can be the next one. From their technological or organizational perspective, their levels of company's autonomy could be divided by five periods. First of them, where most of founders are located right now, with those who are using LLMs to ask the questions, to write the texts, maybe to create a content for the social networks or for their websites and so on and so on. And the second level of autonomy is when the company using hundreds of different LLMs, they're working together, and it decreasing the cost of labor and cost of goods sold dramatically. The third semi-autonomous company is not what's existing right now, but in the nearest future we can see that the AI models or AI-enabled tools are responsible for 50% of all their value that created in these companies. And the level 4 and 5th, it's a little bit more distant future. But there are fundamental problems in using the LLMs as it is. So first, we see that, thanks to this project, Counting Penrose, this is an explanation of the problem itself. So the current models dramatically underperform when they're deployed in the complex real-world situation. Here is the number of LLMs with the proper access to the memory, with the proper prompt were asked to do the counting. So the counting balance accuracy drops down dramatically after the fourth month. That's why you can't use LLM for this complex task as it is. So you need to be more creative. Also, there are two problems. First is about the errors. So LLMs are showing the results with some level of certainty. So their errors might be 5%. The probability of error might be 5%, maybe less, but it's never zero. It means that the more AI agents you use back to back, the more errors you could have. The second problem is the long conversations increases the cost, the usage of tokens quadratically. The longer the conversations, the more expensive the usage of the agentic. And if you're relying only on LLMs on this model, at some particular point, the conversations becomes too expensive for you. So that's why sometimes we can trust the outcomes we have from using these LLM models. I'm wrapping up to give the mic back to Lena. But what in the nutshell we have? So 100% full stack companies, AI companies, is doesn't exist right now, but there are a lot of companies that has great full stack potential. Also, in 2025 and in 2026, we think that human is still needed in the loop, and the more creative and the more sophisticated the company using the human at exactly right moment will dramatically increase their cost of their value and the quality of the product. And the third one, so we see the clear potential of using this kind of startups, this kind of approach for slow-moving industries like healthcare, legal, travel, accounting, insurance, etc. Thanks a lot. If you have questions or what's our
Yeah, thank you, Nikita, for covering. It was extensive, and we will have definitely follow-up questions, but I think in the Q&A session.
Okay. Yeah,
later. Actually, what I wanted to highlight as well is that everyone will receive recording of the session and the slides in a follow-up email, so you don't have to worry. You're gonna have it if you want. But now I want to move from investor slides to technical reality and invite Anton actually to the stage. Anton is a product lead at Matter, I think. Yeah, this is the correct name of the product.
I am Matter.
Matter. Okay, so but you'll cover it yourself. But for a start, I have a question to you because you are kind of representative of ecosystem enabler, and you also work in product. So I'm really curious how often the topic of full stack AI being brought up in your circles, if it being brought up at all, and from what angle and perspective. So.
Yeah, okay. So I guess I will need to introduce myself first and then proceed and describe the product a bit, which I work on. So basically, yes, I'm product lead at JetBrains. I hope you know this company. If you don't, it's the company which makes developer tools, the best in the world, I would say so. And I lead quite small team, 20 people, a bit less, and I can call us an internal startup. And actually, I have two perspectives on the topic. So I am a product lead / tech lead myself, and I think a lot of how to optimize the process, how to make my team like the AI native, and how to leverage AI in order to speed up the cycle of the product development. And also, I do develop an AI product myself. My team does that. And we need to think about how the world is going to accept that and in which point the world is going to be in a year or so. So basically about the product, I will start with an example. So imagine, and one unusual thing about the product and about this product in the context of our company. I said that the company makes the developer tooling, but the product itself, our product Matter, is focused on on other roles actually, on product managers and product designers, and the developer role is auxiliary role, I would call it so. And I will start with an example in order to illustrate the pain of product managers and product designers. So imagine you are a product designer, for instance, and you have an application, web application, let it be, you develop with your team in a quasi environment, and you see this application very well, and you have an idea which you would like to implement. And in the world before AI, you actually needed to use Figma, for instance, to illustrate your idea. You needed an issue tracker. You needed to create an issue there, describe your requirements, pass it to the development, and hope that this will be taken in the next sprint and implemented, and you will see the results. With in the AI world, this workflow changes, I would say so. It is not changed yet, but it changes. And what Matter does, it actually enables you to skip this Figma phase and this issue tracker phase, maybe even, and you can connect. So the developer actually can connect the repository to Matter, and you can describe what you need in a natural language, or you can use a mockup if you need to, but it's not actually required. And in a couple of minutes to get the result in the real code base. it is wipe coded result actually. So in this sense, it is similar to Lovable, I think. But the important thing here is that you receive the result in your real code base, and you can actually observe your changes in the context. And then you decide what to do with that. You actually can pass it to a developer to make a handoff and see it in production, hopefully, if everything's fine with the code. We will speak about it later. You can share the link and show other stakeholders what a wonderful idea you have and stuff like that. So basically, it should speed up your development cycle greatly. And in our case, we have 3 designers. We observe it already. So basically, all our designers are a bit of a coders now, but they cannot code. They are just prompting. But that actually works pretty well, I would say so. And Lena, you also asked from whether full stack AI is being discussed in my circles. Yes, a lot, just because I am a bit biased here because we develop this kind of product, so I cannot be out of the context. Sorry, but you also asked from which angles we talk about AI, and there are a lot of different perspective and dimensions. I would call the first one and the most important one is the quality of the results, is the code quality produced by the coding agent and further maintainability. And that actually depends greatly on a lot of factors, on the code base itself, how complex and legacy it is, on the prompting fashion from the designer or product manager, on the model which is used under the hood and stuff like that. And what we see currently, what we observe. So at first, when we started the project a year ago, we were very skeptical about like the quality itself, that it can produce something meaningful. But now we had a discussion, I think, on this week regarding the recent model from Claude, Opus 4.5. I think, yeah, I remember the version correctly. And our most skeptical dev said quite an unexpected thing for me, that he said that he actually feels how the thing progressed with it over the time, and that now most of the changes are mergeable, and he sees like the clear progress here, and that was a surprise for me, actually. And I think that one might think here that the software developer profession can be maybe replaced in the future, but I do not share this perspective, actually. I think that software developer art is not about writing code. It's rather about organizing complex systems and fighting with complexity and entropy. And in this sense, LLMs and foundational models, they are not that good. They are just, they are quite short-sighted, I would call it so. They are trying to solve the problem at hand, and they do not bother much about technical depth. And this is up to a human to actually keep things maintainable, keep things yeah, so this system would not collapse under its own weight. So this is the art. And also, I would like to touch a topic of product roles inside product team and their responsibilities. And I think that they are changing too, and we observe that right now. So basically, before I gave an example of how you needed to use Figma and issue tracker in order to implement your ideas, and now it's not that. And basically, the main observation here, which a lot of people share in the industry, is that the product trio, so product designer, product manager, and an engineer, the borders between those roles, they start to blur, actually. They start to diffuse into each other, And the tasks which could be performed by one role before now can be performed by another role at some extent, of course. So for instance, we all have heard those stories about successful business being built in Lovable by one person, for instance, and this is the reality now. But I think that doesn't work with the complex products, with the complex solutions. They still need a lot of human attention and a diverse expertise. And also, I would like to touch the topic of human traits which are needed in this future, because I think we need different qualities in order to be successful in this new environment. And I recently heard a podcast on Lenny's newsletter. It's a podcast for product managers. And with the guest was CPO of LinkedIn. And that's pretty interesting podcast. I actually recommend you to hear it. But there was a thought over there that the traits that people will need are actually judgment, having their own vision, and creativity. And I think that's actually true and pretty close to what I think personally. Because in the future, people will need to evaluate a lot of results which are generated by AI, and to generate them itself, it's not a problem. It's a problem to select what's actually worth it and what's what can bring success in the business. Another topic also, and another angle which I would like to touch, and I think Nikita also touched it a bit, is actually it's an elephant in the room. It's actually cost of those technologies, because we need to pay for tokens to all LLM providers, and with each new model, they are not cheaper; they are more expensive. I think the models are smarter, no doubt, but the cost itself, I would say it's crazy. I can give an example from my own perspective. As I said, or I haven't said that, I'm actually a software developer myself, and I code quite a lot, but I do not code with my hands anymore. Actually, I use a lot of I use Cloud Code heavily, and I am not a top performer in my team. I code accidentally from time to time. But anyway, my monthly bill to Anthropic is $500, and it's like a lot, I think, for a person that doesn't code much. So yeah, it's actually costs a lot, and I hope that in the future the competition between LLM providers will do something with it, and it won't be so costly. Yeah, I think that all the angles that I have in mind here.
Nice. Actually, you covered a lot, and I really loved the point about single founder and the future of startup founding overall. But actually, to the topic of costs, I'm super curious also, again, from the perspective of a corporation. So now normally companies calculate like obvious costs of producing, for example, tokens, but like hidden costs of, all the, I don't know, CO2 emissions and extensive, exploitation of resources, obviously, that are not included in the cost. And if they would be included in the cost, then the AI cost would be actually not affordable at all. So also it's interesting. I don't know if you have anything to say about it, and if it's being discussed again in the strategy of JetBrains on overall. But if you have something to say, it would be interesting to see maybe your personal perspective and like company perspective about it, because we're definitely not including the full price of using AI at the moment.
Yeah, but I think in this sense we are quite short-sighted. I think we prefer not to think about it. Not we as a company, I cannot speak for JetBrains here, but I am as a person. I think that sometimes I prefer not to think about scary things. And this is probably the case at the moment. So I can only hope that we will figure something out. The industry will figure something out. And it's like, more slow in CPUs, like with each year. I don't know I do not actually remember the formulation, but I hope you got what I said.
I think it's every 10 years it's doubles, but I think people people in comments maybe will correct us, but I think it doubles every 10 years.
2x in 3 years, yeah. In
3 years? It's too fast, actually, really. I thought it's in 10 years.
It's fast. So we are talking about the density of the transistors on the chip, I guess. And I hope that this law will eventually work for AI tokens and AI generation. But I can be only optimistic here.
Yeah, actually, I hear a lot in the industry the opinion that, we will build AGI and then AGI will figure out how to deal with this problem. So it's not going to be our problem. We will, delegate it to AGI. So hopefully, AGI will be on our side. But thank you, Anton, for covering it from the technical side. Again, I think we're going to have follow-up questions to you in the Q&A session. But for now, I suggest us to move towards our third speaker, Roma. I'd love to invite you on the stage. And this is actually a very special thing for me because Roma is our portfolio founder and he's currently going through pivot towards native AI, full stack AI company. So, but I think that you will cover it better. So go ahead and just tell us what you're building.
Hi, Lena, and like everyone, and thank you so much for having me. And I think I just can start with why did we decide to make this pivot and to build AI.
Sorry for interrupting. Maybe the first time you can just say what is raised and what you've been building before.
Oh yeah, cool. Of course. So we actually started a couple of years ago, exploring different ideas in HR tech space. And our first idea was marketplace of part-time executives. So, and we actually scaled up to $1 million in revenue. But then we just noticed that the market is quite limited. So, and we decided to pivot to a full-time recruiting case and to help companies hire full-time YIM employees, because this is a huge market, and we just naturally realized that a lot of our customers actually ask for this type of service. So, and then we just thought what would be the best solution for companies to hire people, right? So, and we explored different niches from full AI sourcing tools and recruiting tools to marketplaces, and just we noticed that this building vertically integrated recruiting firm would be the best solution for a customer to actually help them to hire engineers and other people to their company. And it was quite surprising for us because we actually started to build this AI-driven firm, which is combination of service component like recruiters and AI agents that help us to find candidates, to communicate with the candidates, to automate a lot of parts of this process, and private data that we have. So, and we when we start building that, there were no hype about full stack AI firms. We just thought that this is the right way to do it, and it was quite surprising to develop later a huge conviction because a lot of different firms started to talk about it. let's say like Sequoia like invested in like full stack AI firm, and YC like invested in a couple of other full stack like firms. And thanks for example, General Catalyst, they like did a huge like bet in full stack service space. And thank you like Ultra for like also developing this new niche. But now they see like a lot of like points why this idea like makes sense. And just to maybe add on this evolution of AI assistants that Nikita presented on his slides, is that like when I lived in San Francisco, I just saw initially a lot of hype about full cycle AI employers, and were companies like Artisan and others. And when I actually talked with the people who tried to use this like software, I heard like really mixed results. So it just didn't like work really well. And then the second stage was not like, okay, it seems like we can't fully replace humans right now, but maybe to build AI assistants. And I think the only case where it really works well right now is coding. So you can see this Cursor, Lovable, and one at what Anton is doing right now. I think for coding, it works really great. So I would let my hands cut off, but not, allow me like not to use these AI coding tools. So this is really super great case. All other cases, for example, Nikita mentioned Harry. If you chat with the actual partners of law firms who use the Harvey, you would probably get quite mixed results about like this tool. And if you just check like Reddit, so yeah. Oh, Nikita did, yeah. So, and now it became clear that this full stack service actually, like AI driven firms, is the best solution for the customers at this point. So, and in terms of like what probably like changed when we decided to pivot to this like space, um, I would say that we've got a lot of motivation and conviction because we can just started to feel the pull from the market. So right now our main problem is not sales that we had before, is more execution. And I think this is much more like pleasant problem to have. And yeah, especially like when you see right now how a lot of companies lose their mold, we can feel that in this model we can have much more defensibility. So I can provide you an example. I just recently talked with the founder of top 5 largest HR tech tools in the world. So, and he told me how much money they invested, huge tons of money, in developing proprietary machine learning models. So they just had like for HR like tech space for like interviews, like really like does they bought dozens of million like interviews and data and trained their own like model. Right now they see almost no difference with LLM APIs plus RAG, just traditional RAG pipeline. So all of the like their fine-tuned model actually like didn't produce much results compared with what foundational models can provide with slight fine tuning. So, and we can see that in so many spaces. So, and think now the idea that you can get, some thin layer on like LLM and build a huge company doesn't really work. So that's why when you have a full stack and you are across the whole like value chain, you have much more defensibility in this case, because there is so much to like talk about in addition to, like building application layer to like LLM. So it's how you train people, how you sell, how you build processes, how you organize the whole system around this problem, right? Yeah, maybe Lena, you can guide me so I'm not talking for too long. So
No,
yeah.
actually, it's very interesting to hear your experience. And
Yeah.
One of the questions that I had in mind actually was about the competitor landscape and what is going on in the field. So you already covered a little bit, but like, do you see that many companies of your stage are switching toward this direction at the moment?
Yeah. So I would say that Yes and no. So yes, that there are companies that executing this idea in a lot of like niches, including in recruiting as well. And some of them, for example, starting to do aggressive M&A in these like space buying companies and um, integrating AI. I would say that I don't care much about this competition because this market is so huge. Like recruiting is $1 trillion like market, and all of these like full stack firms that are appearing right now is still quite small. So the main competitor is like 10 public companies with more than $1 billion revenue that there are in the market right now, like Hayes, for example, right? So, and I'm thinking only how I can beat them, right? So, and also I think the interesting, like the most important thing where the market will go and what's the dynamic on the market overall. And I can provide one example. Nikita said that probably there are like no unicorns in this space yet. I would say that if you look at this more like broadly, there are. So, and I would like mention companies like Scale AI and Turing, and even Mercor. So these are three companies in recruiting space. And they are also full stack AI innovate. So all of them solve one problem, like data labeling for AI labs, right? But in like slightly different ways. But all of them basically a combination of services plus software, which is customized for a specific problem. And what these guys made really amazing is they were early, they were really well positioned to recognize that AI labs um, is like they would need data labeling for like different segments, right? And they were just had these connections, they had predisposition to solve this problem, and they were the fastest to go and sign all of these 5 or 7 huge AI labs to provide them with this data. So this is what I'm care about. So when I see a new shift, so we would be the first one because they built like Mercor is one of the highest growing company in the world right now, right? So yeah, and this is what I really think about a lot.
But also, I want to maybe ask you a last question. So it's been discussed a lot that now the defensibility of startups is going to be in go-to-market and sales because technology basically going to be commoditized. And from this perspective, in your field, what do you see in terms of perception of customers, how they perceive it, and is it easy for you to stand out? So,
Yeah.
like, what is your sales process now?
That's a great question. I think that so there are different answers for different niches. So, and I would say that in some cases where you build these full stack AI firms, in a lot of cases, it's difficult to do the real differentiation and additional value prop for end user. It's more about boosting your profit margin. And I can provide you like an example, for example, real estate or some industries like that. And in these cases, companies who do this full stack AI they do M&A rollout because for them to buy existing players, it's easier actually to build sales force themselves because it's difficult to sell. In our case, I actually think that we do not have issues with sales right now. So, and we can even grow organically. And yeah, we see that companies prefer us, and it's not about the case that we are slightly cheaper because like we are more efficient than traditional players. Actually, what they care about quality of service, and AI allows us to do high quality service. And one an obvious bonus that and benefit that we have because we build like AI driven firm, human is still such a huge component in success in these companies, right? So, and we, because we built this brand that we are, having the best technology, right now we are hiring a couple of people who are joining us in January, and they are amazing. So we are hiring just the best people in the market because they have this difference. Okay, I can go to a traditional recruiting firm, or I can go and like work with the the best technical solution that exists in the world in this space. So, and they are, of course, like it's no-brainer like for them. So, and because you have basically much more ambitious and like smarter people, you can deliver like better service to an end user.
It's nice. I guess we're lucky that we had the chance to invest in you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I think now we can move to Q&A, and you guys can ask questions in the chat, but we also received the questions from the registration form. And I'll start with the questions that we have in the chat now, and it's to Anton. So you had mentioned that agents take care of most of the coding part. If that's the case, what important skills would a developer need to know? You had mentioned system design, but is there anything more? So basically, what is the future of developers?
Yeah, and I think the system design itself, it also won't look like it looks right now, I think, because what we observe currently is that imagine you have a team of agents and you are their team lead, for instance, and you distribute tasks and review the code. But the thing is that at the current stage of development, those folks, they do not learn. So you are, it's like managing very forgettable, I think, people, and that can be frustrating. And in order to actually avoid this, one needs to build a semantic layer, proper semantic layer with guidelines, with best practices, which are suitable for this repository, for this project, and maintain it maintain it as long as the project is being developed, I would say so. So this is like the system design skill, right? But I think it will be transformed, and sometimes it can be transformed in an unpredictable way. Secondly, I would mention that I think that software developer profession won't be such an introvert profession anymore. And I think that, as I mentioned at the beginning, non-dev roles, creative roles, such as designers and product managers, they are starting contributing to the code bases as well, but in their own way, via vibe coding, via prompting. And I think the developer who sees the results of this contribution, they need to be actually empathetic and understanding in a way. So I think it's also an important skill. And what I currently also observe, the third one, the third skill, which I can think of, is I would call it a detective skill, actually. When something goes wrong, I see how the current SWE agents perform not that smart, I would say so. When one needs to understand what went wrong on production, analyze logs, read code, analyze heap dump or thread dump or whatever else. LLMs and agents can certainly help. They can give you a clue, but at the moment they're not that well at actually troubleshooting things. I think they will learn eventually, but at the moment it's more like a job for people who deeply understand the technology. So yeah, something like this.
Okay, thank you. I'll moderate the questions because some of them not exactly of the topic of today's discussion, and I will prioritize those that are. So the next one gonna be to Nikita. What about fintech? What trends in terms of full stack AI do you expect to see soon in fintech?
Okay, thanks for the question. So I wouldn't say that the banking industry is in our focus, so it's not where we're going to invest. But talking about fintech, like insurance companies or companies that helps to create the credit score, for example. there are plenty of them right now, and AI for fintech was implemented before it became obvious, because before it became hype for all the other markets. Surprisingly not, in fintech industry, all modern technologies are being implemented really fast right now. And about full stack AI companies, so I see the appearance of full stack AI neobanks, and also full stack insurance company. We have an example in our deck, in our presentation that we'll share after the meetings.
Nice, thank you. I want to actually ask a question that was among those from the registration form, and probably spread it between all of you, but maybe Roma, you can contribute mostly. So there was a question. Interested to know if there's a level of abstraction in here, where you can build a part stack AI, for example, have some out-of-the-box components combined with unique AI logic. So it's kind of semi-autonomous companies in here, and maybe you guys can cover it from all perspectives. So yeah, the question was whether you can build not the full stack AI, but like middle stack AI. Where do you see like opportunity or the spectrum for this product development?
I think the question is for Roman right now. Yes, you are.
Yeah, that's why I decided to engage him, because otherwise it would be unfair, all the questions to Nikita.
Yeah, so if I understood the question correctly, so I think exactly the reality is that initially, like, there were a lot of hype about like just autonomous AI tools, and so far I would say all of them I think failed. So I don't see any example of a specific job that was fully replaced by AI so far. I think there will be cases where it could happen in some niches, for example, probably in customer support, in some level of customer support, like level 1, there are like several like tiers, right? Probably like these folks are in, tough place. In recruiting, for example, there are also cases where it can happen for high volume recruiting, for example, of like, for example, Amazon, when they hire couriers, I think, or warehouse professionals, blue collars, I think they at least tested fully autonomous recruiting process. So yeah, but I would say that I more believe in several niches, either copilots like coding, or either like full stack AI forms where you still like mix. And I think the best niche where you can apply this AI, like full stack AI service company, is where you see like first of all, huge share of labor in costs. So if you like running restaurant, for example, right, probably full stack AI won't work really well, because I mean there are a lot of like costs that you can't like cut with like AI. But where it's more like labor intense and where you have repeated tasks, but still like you have some layers, like for example, you need to have your own data or have your own processes, or like you should customize it, not just download like off-the-shelf tool, install and it work. Where it doesn't work, where you download this tool because you, for example, have your own like data where you need to train your tool to make it work. I think this is the best use cases to apply it.
Thank you. We're coming back to Anton. So it's an extensive question, actually. So you mentioned a case where a huge amount of code was written by AI and PR acceptance raised. From my experience, AI is giving incredible results in the beginning, but with growth of product complexity and code base and acceptance rate for AI code drops significantly. So my question is, how do you manage complexity with AI code first approach?
Yeah, a tough question actually. But I would say that in our case, the code base is not that huge. It's not a monorepo. Our product is not that big at the moment. So around 10 developers work on that. And at this scale, I'd say that AI agents such as Claude Code and our own agent are perform still quite okay, quite well. And the thing is that you can do with it is actually have a clear architecture, and you can describe this architecture in the guidelines. So in this case, do this. In that case, do this, and that can help greatly to actually narrow down the scope and to implement the change and to localize the place where you need to implement your change and implement it actually. Also, as far as I know, with the growth of the code base, there is one more challenge. It's not actually about the quality, but rather it. On the other hand, it's also about the quality. So with the growth of the code base, one might notice that the agent, such as Claude Code, starts working really slow because it needs to actually it uses file system searches to localize the place where it needs to edit the code. And what can help here is to actually attach an indexing engine. So we have at JetBrains we have internally developed one. I think it's public already. I can share the link later on. And for instance, built an index with embeddings and allow semantic search through the code base. And it also helps localize the problem, localize the place in code which needs to be changed. Yeah, something like that. But all the techniques, they are kind of well known. So guidelines, embeddings sometimes, yeah, clear separation of modules and isolation. That's it, basically.
Okay, so the last call for questions, and the next question is to Nikita again. So Nikita, could you provide the checklist with 3-4 super important things angel investor should check prior investing in AI-powered ventures to be sure they actually stand out and they're relevant for the future?
Okay, and we are talking about the company that are not training their models by themselves, but using the existing one, right? So, okay, so if we are talking about the business angel, investing in pre-seed stage, so this is so the market right now is that the company will have maybe the prototype, maybe the first pilots, but they won't have revenue, and you need to think a lot about this opportunity. So top 3 things, what I would ask and what I would consider working, well, not wouldn't, actually we're doing this. What I would advise to do. First, from tech perspective, think about the technical feasibility of the solution. So do you have the early sign of technical traction? So the thing that team is building, so can I provide you something, can they prove that they managed to create what they are claiming? The second thing is how difficult the product will be in the distant future. Will they need to train a ML model by themselves? If they do they have ML engineer among the co-founders? So if you don't have a tech guy among the founders right now, if the startup doesn't have, so it's the startup always has a threat that the hired person will be rehired by someone else. Maybe Roman will be the first one who will hire this one. So and transfer them to the Meta or Google or maybe other startup that just raised funds. So so this tech guy should be a part of the team, and they should be really motivated to stay in the company. And the third tech question is try to model or ask the company to model their unit economics. So considering the cost per token, will they still have great big margin, like 70-80%? Take into account, so how much does the operations cost using AI? And also a couple of questions should be asked about from the business perspective. So do you have the first sign of value? What kind of value you bring to customers? What are they actually paying for? And how important the value it is for the decision makers. So it's from B2B side perspective. And also the thing that you won't discover, I think, on the early stage, but it's worth discussing with the team is what could be the unfair advantage for the company in the nearest future. The pre-seed stage companies usually doesn't have unfair advantage, but the smarter they become, the bigger they become, the more resources they have to create moat and to build a defensibility. I think that's what I would advise to think about.
Okay, Roma just escaped the last question. But yeah, we have the last question, and I think it will be yours, Nikita. But again, Anton, if you have something to add up on the topic, feel free to jump in. So following up on the middle stack AI solution, actually, I think I invented a new term. We're building a solution which is not an AI standalone application and neither full stack AI. Instead, it's an AI-based toolbox for human-operated travel businesses. So as if it's making them full stack AI. Where do such solutions stand in the startup AI environment?
Let me try to understand what it is about. So, toolbox for human-operated travel businesses. So you're building. So if I understand, you're building a solution that helps brokers or somebody who works for a travel business to be more efficient. Maybe it's agentic AI, or if you're the their differentiation part here is here. So if you responsible for the value for the customer, okay, you charge them for services you provided. You are responsible for part of the business of the customer. So you can consider yourself closer to full stack AI companies. Or if you're just selling the SaaS subscription and you're not service-based pricing. You're not implementing the service-based pricing, then it's agentic AI. So you can distinguish it like this.
Nice. Thank you for mapping it.